Mondays
podcast.
The worst episode ever. Rest assured that I was on the internet within minutes, registering my disgust throughout the world.
Topics from comic books, video games, movies, and more.
My calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
Let the game begin.
I have no date. A 2-liter bottle of Shasta and my all-rush mixtape. Let's rock.
And here's your host.
This is Andrew, aka Nard Dog. Sorry, I gotta take this off. Oh, VR is weird, right? All right, everybody. We are here. We're talking VR, and yeah, we're excited. I'm excited because I really like VR. So let's just get going. All right. So we're gonna bring in our crew. We got Jesse here, who is a special guest, a friend of mine, and Sideshow Bobby.
Hey everyone, how you doing today? Jesse, welcome to the pod.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So Jesse, what is your experience? Why are you the special guest today on our Man Cave Monday podcast?
I really like VR, and Andrew knows that.
He doesn't just really like VR. Are you the one that started an entire Facebook group for it?
Yeah, back like 2016, I think, when VR first started. I started a couple groups, and I think you're part of the Facebook one.
I recently joined the Facebook group for VR because I did get PlayStation VR, and I'm planning on getting an Oculus Quest 2 very soon. But Jesse has been involved in VR for a lot longer than I have. And so I wanted to bring a little bit more of an expert to the discussion tonight. We might have a couple more people joining tonight. I've already got some bad news though. The bane of my existence when it comes to VR, my older brother Daniel is not able to join us tonight. And if you would be able to look at the group chat that we had, it was a pretty heated discussion over the future of VR and what's going to happen. So we're going to talk about it anyway, and I just guess I get to show my opinion way more than he does because he's not here. So anyway, we were talking about it. So I recently got VR. I have a next door neighbor who has a Quest 2. I tried the Quest 2, and it's pretty insane how
What is VR? What are we talking about? Because
we'll start with that.
Thinking what VR is back, and I'll show my age. I'm 40. I just turned 40. So I'm a child of the 80s, 90s. And I remember playing virtual reality, and I'm going to show a picture on our screen feed of sitting in a video game or sitting in a booth playing something like sitting down with a big headset and everyone's kind of watching you, and it's like very polygon graphics. Now, is that what we're talking about?
I mean, this is really, really, really old technology of virtual reality. And actually, I remember that because of the movie First Kid. And that was my first introduction to, like, I was a Nintendo kid. I was all about NES, Super Nintendo. And like right around that time, this movie came out, and I was like, holy cow, like this is actually possible. Which if you look at it now, you're just like, it's not that impressive. But
have you seen Lawnmower Man? The movie Lawnmower Man?
I haven't seen Lawnmower Man, but I know that that's all about virtual reality as well.
Yeah.
Talk into that a little bit. What is that movie have to do with?
I'm sure it's better than whatever kids movie you watched. But this guy just he does VR, and he kind of becomes like a godlike creature in VR, and
right.
It's a good movie. It's actually a good movie.
Okay. All right. So virtual reality is basically, I mean, now what is it? It is the goal is to be completely immersed in a virtual world. This is First Kid. Yeah.
So what we're seeing on the screen is of someone playing immersed in a world. So is it like Ready Player One? We're trying to look at now.
I mean, that's what we're talking about. Like, if you've seen the movie Ready Player One, that is actually legitimately already possible. It's really expensive, but there are people that already have treadmills and already have these crazy expensive headsets and can in full 360 degree move their body, run around, and
Andrew, do you remember the scene in Ready Player One where the bad guy gets hit in the balls in virtual reality and then it hurts him in real life?
I don't remember that, but that is actually like there's like
that.
Yeah, there's like haptic feedback suits that are being made. There are, haptic gloves. Like, there is so much with technology that, like, talking about the PSVR, this came out 2016. Was that right?
16, 17, something like that.
So we're talking
old Move controllers from 5 years before that.
From the PlayStation 3. So I mean, this was like kind of the introduction to consumer level virtual reality. You didn't have to have a really crazy expensive computer and a headset and all of that. Still,
so what about
expensive?
What about the virtual? So I would think, well, I mean, I think the higher quality version, but what about like the virtual Game Boys,
like a virtual boy?
The virtual boys, right? Wouldn't that technically be what their Nintendo's first trying
VR? But
because you had a headset and you got to peek into the red, the bad Game Boy graphics.
I don't think, looking back at it, people can actually say that was true virtual reality.
Yeah, I think it had stereoscopic, so it has two screens, so you can see 3D objects. But it was red and black, and also it had no degrees of freedom. So like, there's some VR headsets where you can see 3D and you can turn your head, and you can even move your arms out, but you can't like walk forward or walk back. And those are just 3 degrees of freedom. So now we have like 6 degrees.
Yeah, that's the big thing, is now 6 degrees of freedom. So explain that. What is?
Yeah, that's where. Bobby, the picture you showed where the people were sitting down, the old one, they could probably just turn their heads. They couldn't, like, if they stood up and walked forward, it wouldn't actually move them forward in the virtual environment.
Right.
But now you can do that. PlayStation VR's biggest problem, I think, is that it is 6 degrees of freedom, but because it has those cameras, you have to basically be sitting down or standing in a very limited space.
It's definitely like a beginner introduction to virtual reality. It's kind of, I mean, it's just fun to have it, but honestly, I've already tried like the Quest 2, and I'm just like, okay, this is kind of like a cool novelty thing to have, and it's fun because I have a stack of games here, and this was like maybe $40 for all of these games because they're dirt cheap right now. So, but the reality of like having a cable attached as well is where the Oculus Quest, which we'll get to Oculus, we'll get to Facebook owning it, all of that in a little bit because we got plenty of time. But the reality is, like, the future of virtual reality is going to be completely wireless, not tethered to anything, no wires connected to you at all, kind of a thing, And the fact of like having that, like yesterday I had a friend come over, and for the first time he tried an Oculus 2, which I borrowed from our neighbor, and immediately, without training him at all, he was just fully able to play. Like he played Super Hot VR, and he was fully able to just do everything in that game that you're supposed to do, and there was no like initial training of what to do.
So it's very intuitive. It's very intuitive. Like you don't need help. It's like if you pick up an iPhone, you automatically know how to use it.
Yeah,
there's a learning curve.
It's very intuitive. So getting back to what is VR, it's literally immersing yourself completely into a virtual environment. So we're talking anything from just you had a bad day and you want to go hang out on the beach in Florida. You want to go travel the world. You are working out, but you're riding a bike, and you want to actually, as you're riding your bike, see yourself moving in motion somewhere.
So I'm a cyclist,
Sure.
And I was big on going into those gyms where you can connect yourself to, you can connect your bike, it will track your power meter. It will, if you're going uphill, it will start purposely slowing down your bike. So you have to adjust your gears.
Right.
You would see yourself moving on a map. And then they would also have like a map of the road, essentially. Sure. But because I'm not on a headset, I'm on a bike, that's not virtual reality. Or like same way, like playing on the Nintendo Wii, you're kind of moving in a 3D environment. You have some control. Like if you're playing Legend of Zelda,
yeah, but you're not like
using
in the actual game. Like you are watching a screen that is the game. But like virtual reality, like Bobby, have you ever even tried virtual reality?
I have not tried the virtual reality, what you're talking about.
Okay. So it literally like it's really kind of hard. And this is, I think, one of the things that is going to be the problem with like the future marketing of virtual reality is it's really hard to explain to somebody until they actually just try it. Like
it's kind of like when the first iPhone came out, you could explain all you want that this phone is awesome, it's intuitive, it makes pictures better, it makes text better, it makes all this stuff better. But until you actually try it and you're like, whoa, this is way better than a BlackBerry.
Yeah.
You just won't see the light.
Well, I think Steve Jobs did. Again, you have to make it simple enough. Technology has to be simple enough and affordable enough to reach the masses.
Which is where I feel like we're on the cusp of right now.
Yeah, Andrew just mentioned that he got his friend in Quest 2 and they knew how to do it immediately. So it's simple.
So it's simple, but how much does the Oculus Rift go for these days for the average consumer?
Well, it's the Oculus Quest.
Sorry.
So the Quest 2, which came out in October of 2020, is $300 for the 64 gigabyte and $400 for the 256 gigabyte model. No expandable memory, which is one of the things my brother will complain about. But
can I bring up this point? You can use virtual desktop with it.
You can use virtual desktop
from your computer. So who cares about storage on the Quest? You can keep all the games on your computer.
Yeah. But then also there are some people that they don't have powerful enough computers to be able to handle the virtual reality. And that's the whole other issue. So I think the future of virtual reality is not as much. It's still going to be cool. You can tether yourself to a computer, but I think it's going to be like standalone units that
I think it'll be even further than that. Once we have 5G, 6G, you won't need a computer at all. It will be like back in the 70s when we had like dumb terminals for computers.
Yeah.
And you had like a server, a mainframe that did the processing and then just sent it to the displays. I think we'll just have the headsets be able to do 5G and then it will just go to the cloud. The cloud will compute it, just like Stadia and all that.
Right.
You can go a little political. So everyone vote for the infrastructure bill. No, I'm serious, because if you want this technology, and people aren't and the type of technology you're talking about, people are trying to use this technology for meetings as well. They'll buy the cheapo headsets they can make out of cardboard, put their iPhone in, and then start meeting people online, not doing Zoom, but in virtual reality environments. If that is the future, you have to definitely get the technology better, and broadband has to be more universal across the board for it to actually work.
Yeah, I think
and to catch on.
Yeah, it's going to be more and more like, I think after COVID, everyone realizes that like Zoom has its limitations. It's a great thing, but it's also not like a new thing because Skype has been around forever. But I think that there's going to be a further understanding of like, we want to be able to still have these meetings, but feel like it's more of a personal experience. And so I can totally see in the future, like business meetings and stuff like that being done over virtuality as well.
Then I don't have any statistics to go how many people are slowly going back to the work environment over, how many people are staying at home doing their jobs, but it's probably going to be more of a mix these days. And do you think
there's a lot more people that, there's so many like Fortune 500 or huge companies that like friends of mine that work at these companies that indefinitely they can work from home, even though like the office has opened back up again. So
that's going to be the new policy, or that's again, the whole employees are going to have to
for some people. But anyway, I think we kind of established a little bit like what VR is. It's also hard.
Full immersion. That's what we're talking
about.
Yeah,
it's full immersion. We're talking video. We're talking like literally you're in this world. You turn your head to the right, and like just like in the real world, when I turn my head to the right and I'm seeing my dining room, and then I turn to the left and I see this window, and I can look out the window and I can see my next door neighbor's house, like doing that in this virtual world.
Like that South Park episode.
I actually don't know what you're talking about because I haven't watched it yet. But
Jesse, do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
All right. So there's an episode of South Park where Cartman tricks Butters that he's wearing an Oculus Rift, and Butters goes into school, say, "Wow, this is so real," and starts doing bad things to bad people. And then and it just keeps going worse and worse. And there's like a whole Matrix thing, and they don't know who's actually stuck in virtual reality. So if anyone checks it out, it's season 18 of South Park. But it's full immersion. At the end of the day, one of the characters was full immersion. They didn't know if they were in reality or if they were in the game at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's funny. Sorry, Bobby, Joe's trying to get on, and maybe do you have a link?
I do. I'll send out that link. Thank you. Give me a second.
Cool. Okay, so we established kind of what virtual reality is. The technology is exponentially getting better and better. We're talking like within 6 months to a year, better than what it was before, kind of a thing. The next question was, or subject was, does any of us have VR experiences before the modern VR right now? So Bobby, you're not on right now, actually. You talked about Virtual Boy. Jesse, do you have a Virtual Boy?
I had one. I sold it.
Okay.
Yeah, I played that. I also did. I did something in Wisconsin Dells that was like what Bobby showed.
That was called Virtuality, I think.
Similar to that.
Yeah. Okay. So you had some experiences prior to the modern virtual reality that we're having. Bobby, what was your experience with owning a Virtual Boy? Was it pretty disappointing? Was it kind of like, hey, this is cool? Most people were disappointed.
It was okay. Hey, Joe. Nice to see you.
What's up, guys?
We're talking about our first interactions with virtual reality, and I had a Virtual Boy, the red thing that, it was clunky, it was boring, and there wasn't a lot of good games for it, unfortunately.
Well, there's only 11 games for it, or no, 21, right?
Right. And I didn't end up getting, it was over expensive, clunky, and it ended up going to the dust pile. So my next steps would have been the Nintendo Wii. Is the closest thing I play with virtual reality. So
you didn't have Jack Bros?
That's a very expensive game. Yeah.
Yeah. No. So, Joe, we've when you just anyone who's joining us today, we're talking about virtual reality, and you have to be full immersion. Is the technology that we're talking about. So if you turn your head right, you see everything to the right. Turn left. If you step forward, you step forward. There's no
6 degrees of freedom. And there's even like talk about in the future, like there's a certain company that actually got banned, but it was like this sort of thing that you would clip on to the bottom of your headset, and it would actually like mist different scents to you. But it got banned because it was considered a vape product, which was hilarious. But like there are people that are trying to like bring literally like you're walking through a field of flowers and you smell flowers kind of a thing, which is pretty crazy. All right, we'll see you in a bit, Joe. So okay, I wanted to talk about current companies that I and Jesse, you might have more insight than I do, but current companies that are making VR right now. So even though I don't think it is the best VR, I'd say Sony is probably one of the biggest selling VR companies. And they're currently working on their next model of virtual reality for the PlayStation 5. We don't know a lot about it other than the controllers. That's the only thing that has been revealed so far, other than we do know that there will be a single cable connecting to it. Oh, is this Ready Player One?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a single cable that is connecting to it from the PlayStation 5, which is still kind of a bummer that like we're at next gen and there's still going to be a cable.
I bet part of that is Sony wants it to just be really easy to use. And the second you introduce Wi-Fi and routers and firewalls and all that stuff, the simplicity goes away.
That makes sense.
I bet they'll have a wireless upgrade option.
Okay. Yeah.
Default.
How much of a difference do you think the next model is going to be compared to?
I don't know if anyone can tell because like with the original PSVR, like that thing does 120 hertz, which up until like 2 years ago when the Valve Index came out, like no one was even close to that.
Yeah, and that's recently just was announced for Oculus Quest 2 that the 120 hertz is going to be available. So but the interesting thing is that 120 hertz is available, but you still have the screen door effect, which if people don't understand what that is, it's just a lower resolution where it almost looks like you're looking through a screen door into the virtual world. So is that just because of the lower resolution, correct?
Basically, yes. And you can do tricks like different lenses will blur things differently. There was, I think it was HP put like a screen over the lenses, or I mean, over the screens to blur it. But yes, we did a lot of tricks that were like, even though they had like lower resolution, they had LCD striping where it shows RGB really nicely. So even though it had low res, it still looked good. And then they just kind of blurred it to get rid of some of that screen door.
Right.
And like I mentioned, the 120 hertz was amazing, like blew everyone else out of the water. So I think you don't know. Like Sony's going to have to cut corners to make it affordable, like Bobby was talking about. But like you don't know where they'll cut corners and where they'll like just blow everyone else away.
Right.
Like,
it's interesting
I don't predict it at all, especially when you're talking they have a cord still. Like that is that's like, how can you have a cord when 2, 3 years, 4 years before the Quest doesn't? Like you're already dated technology. So who knows? Who knows what stuff they'll.
Sometimes it takes certain companies to perfect it. I mean, I was talking earlier in our discussions. I remember Compaq trying to come out with a tablet, and they just couldn't get it right. And it wasn't until Apple brought out the iPad that the tablet really hit off.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it probably will take a certain company to know at the right time, the right technology, and make it right affordable for it to really fly.
I think if you tried the Quest 2, I think you'd be like Facebook is might be that company.
Yeah.
I have a Quest 2 and I love it. I went over to my nephew's house in Oklahoma, and he had a Quest 1, and he's like, I'm going to sell it so I can get a Quest 2. And it was like a week later, I was like, okay, I got to have one. And so I went and got it. So,
and you've experienced both. Have you seen a big difference between the two compared to the one?
Yes, 100%. I've experienced the PSVR, the Quest 1, and Quest 2. And I would say the Quest 2 is on par with PSVR graphics. So,
But there's like no screen door effect.
No,
Or like it's almost not
correct.
there.
When I when I had a PSVR, it had a screen door effect, like Jesse was talking, and that bothered the heck out of me. I didn't like it at all.
Even if you had 120 hertz.
Yeah.
Refresh. Yeah. Gotcha.
And so with the Quest 2, playing The Walking Dead versus with the Quest 1, there's a night and day difference. Absolutely.
Because isn't it double the power? The
Yes.
Quest 2 compared to the 1?
It is.
Is that right, Jesse?
I'm not sure.
Okay. That's all right. So anyway, more companies. Sony, Oculus, we already covered. HTC, Valve, HP. There is a Chinese company called Pimax, which is kind of more your boutique-y headset. Vario, is that how you say it?
Yeah, I think so.
And Pico Interactive. Can you think of any others that are, major contenders in the virtual reality world?
You could say Microsoft is, if you count AR.
With a Halo lens?
Yeah.
Yeah, if my brother is on here, he would absolutely disagree with you. He would say that is not virtual reality.
But it is. It is a form of virtual reality. It's augmented reality.
Right.
And we're talking about the future of virtual reality. And I believe it's both virtual reality and augmented reality.
So explain what the Halo lens is compared to their VR. Like
Halo lens is when you put it on, and if you have an iPhone, or I believe even Samsung has phones that do this. This is a zombie game on my iPhone that I have that I can load it up, and it will scan my bedroom or my living room, and I'm in a helicopter shooting zombies that are coming across my floor. That's augmented reality.
So, I mean, in the very, very basic form of augmented reality, Pokemon Go.
Yes, absolutely.
Where there's a Pokemon in your living room. There's Pokemon as you're walking, whatever. But it's an actual headset that Microsoft made. Yep. Where you look through it and you're seeing the real world, but you're seeing it augmented to fit whatever you're doing.
I know Dan does not agree with this, but this is the future of gaming, is VR and AR.
Yeah.
So anytime we can experience, and what I really love about my Oculus 2 is playing super hot. Man, dude, I'm dripping sweat.
My friend who yesterday came and played it for the first time, it was within 20 minutes, just pools of sweat down his face. Like that game, you have to do physical exercise in order to get further along in the game, because you have to like dodge these bullets and, grab this gun and all of that stuff, and
it makes you feel like you're a badass.
Yeah.
It really does. Have you played it, Jesse? Or
yeah, Jesse is a hardcore VR enthusiast. Bobby's never played VR.
Is it getting closer to like the Tony Stark holographic interface, like we're seeing right now with this promo for on screen for Oculus Rift? You see a guy doing like a graphics work, making a augmented reality chair in his room.
I believe so. I logged on to my Oculus Quest the other day, and it said, "Hey, you don't need your controllers anymore. You can use your hands." And they use motion tracking from the Oculus Quest cameras on the front of the VR, and I can grab stuff with my hand like this, and stretch it and everything.
Do you think that's going to be like a new different website building? Is that going to be like so much easier now because of things like virtual reality?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Try to make developer tools in VR and it never works out. But a few things is, in the future, will we even have websites? Why have anything 2D if all your displays are 3D?
Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think, Andrew, remember I took all those photos of your game room, your basement?
Yeah. I used to live in a house that you took all these, you brought a camera and you took a whole 3D rendering of my basement.
Did you use that 360 camera?
No. I just took a lot of photos with one camera.
But stitched them together?
Yep.
Yeah.
what I did then after they were stitched together, there's all these like bad artifacts because it's not perfect. And I actually went in Oculus Medium in VR, and I just made the room the size of my room, and I walked around my room virtually, and I like fixed it all. Like, like if there was a wall that needed to be moved, I pushed it back, or a little artifact there, I would like kind of like clay and just remove it. So doing that in 2D really stinks. Working with 3D objects in 2D really stinks.
Sure. Okay.
Well, it might not help a website because websites in general are 2D. I think anything 3D, like game development, could be improved, or art. There's actually lots of art in.
What do you do for a living, Jesse?
Software engineer.
Software engineer.
So this is right up your alley.
Yeah.
I work out a lot.
Okay, so in a little bit, we're going to get to the future. Right now, I want to talk about what's going on in the news of VR. I've got a couple bullet points, and then Jesse, you're always on top of this stuff. So if you got anything to throw in there, let me know. So first, solid news, just this past week. So Oculus is a company that was bought by Facebook a couple of years ago. 3 years ago, Jesse?
Yeah, something like 5.
Maybe
6.
even more. Yeah, maybe more than that. But it was bought for like over $2 billion, right?
Yeah, a lot of money.
Yeah, a lot of money. So they, a couple, like a year and a half ago to 2 years ago, created their first completely wireless headset called the Oculus Quest. And then last October, Oculus Quest 2 came out, and it's double the power of the first one, all that stuff. Before that, VR gaming was always in some way tethered to a computer or tethered to your PlayStation 4, so from my understanding, it's the first completely wireless VR. Is that correct?
No, I mean, they had cell phone stuff, and there was little
right, but like
it's serious
serious VR.
Yeah,
because we'll talk in a little bit about cell phone VR and how that pushes so many people away from VR because it's just such a shitty experience. It's not great. So Oculus Quest 2 news is one of the big things with Oculus Quest 2 that's cool is you can connect it to your PC because it's not necessarily powerful enough to play games like Half-Life Alyx or I actually don't know a lot of other powerful games that the Quest store doesn't have. But one of the big games is Half-Life Alyx. So you did have the ability through a cable to connect your Oculus Quest 2 to your PC, and then you can just use your Quest 2 as a monitor, and your PC takes care of all the heavy lifting. Just recently, they announced that there is a new update that's going to happen where that can happen wirelessly as long as you are on the same Wi-Fi network, which is huge because you can now. Sorry, my wife's trying to walk by. You can still be connected to your computer, but you don't have to have a cable between your headset and the computer. And then also the update is going to have a 120 hertz mode, which is, Jesse, what you were talking about, that PSVR had 120, 6 years ago. So it's cool to see that those are two like major updates that anybody that has a Quest 2 is really excited about. Jesse, how much does this make a difference in the world of VR? Like, is this a big deal, or is this just more like...
Well, because you could get virtual desktop, I don't know if it makes a big difference. I think now people just buy more stuff off of Oculus Store.
What is virtual desktop?
Just lets you wirelessly connect to your desktop. So you run an app on your desktop machine, right, and then your Quest can connect to it, and you can play any Steam game you want.
But didn't you have to buy virtual desktop? Wasn't it
it's $20, but
so now you don't even have to buy it.
Yeah, but if you look around the Quest store and you look around Steam, you'll pay that $20 just in the Oculus store's pricing. It's more expensive than Steam
because the games on the Quest store are more expensive.
Yeah,
gotcha. Okay.
There's not as much free content, and yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so
I'd also like to point out that even though the PSVR did 120 hertz, it was a trick. It really just took 60 and doubled it.
Oh, okay.
So it didn't render, 120 frames. It rendered 60 and just like updated them and then updated the tracking and stuff.
Gotcha.
I think that 120 hertz update is big, but I think it's only three games that are going to support that launch.
So far, yeah. But going forward, they're going to be more supportive with it and everything.
Yeah, and if anything, this means the Quest 3 will definitely support 120, if not 144.
Right. Yep. Next bit of news, Oculus is having a gaming showcase April 21st at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
That's Wednesday, right?
Yeah,
that's Wednesday. Yeah.
Okay. Who all has a Quest? Are you guys excited about this? Or do you think it's just going to be a lot of news that we already know? Do you think there's going to be a lot of big new news?
I'll let Jesse go first.
I don't know because we'll see.
Okay. What about you, Joe?
I just got my Quest 2 weeks ago, right? And so far I've bought The Walking Dead, Super Hot, and
Population 1.
Population 1. That's it. And so I'm still exploring VR. And Population 1, I absolutely loved. It's a totally different experience playing a battle royale game.
Yeah, explain what the game is.
It's a battle royale game. You jump in with two other players, random people. It's a squad of 3, and so when you go in and you find your gear, you're literally picking up your guns. You have to load it like a real gun, which I thoroughly enjoy. As being ex-military and everything, I'm picking up my gun, loading my clip and everything, and moving forward.
We'd like to welcome Alberto to the man cave, caveman Alberto. How you doing today?
Doing pretty good. Sorry for being late, but
no problem, man.
Do you own an Oculus?
I own Zero VR. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know if you guys talked about it earlier, but I know that the man cave group chat was going off pretty hard the last few days.
Yeah, my brother and me.
Yeah, specifically,
and he
the
threatened to remove me from the group.
Specifically, the Golsons were going pretty hot and heavy in that conversation.
Yeah, we have not quite gotten to that subject yet.
We would have added you back, Andrew.
So I'll save like all like my full thoughts, but the only VR experience I've ever had is just at the arcades. I have played like a couple zombie shooters and Super Hot. They were really cool experiences, but my experience is still very limited compared to what you guys have.
So you're talking like recent arcades where you're like strapping into.
Yeah. There was an arcade at like a resort like up in Wisconsin, and they had kind of like a little station that you can walk up to. And first time ever trying it, I was kind of nervous because I'm not a fan of roller coasters. I get motion sick like crazy.
Oh yeah.
So as soon as so the idea of being inside of that kind of world, a fast paced moving thing, I was like, I'm gonna probably throw up. But
yeah,
gotcha. I get motion sickness as well, and I'm not gonna say VR cured it, but I think it's actually helped.
Really?
Really?
It's like exposure therapy or what, but that's also it'd be really cool if somebody released like actual therapy for motion sickness in VR, like
right,
did some testing and they could help it.
Yeah, I know. Gotcha.
I know that they are using VR to help people with vision issues as well, which is pretty cool on a medical side of things. For me, when I use my VR a lot, my eyes hurt, like they're super sore. And
how long are you talking?
I played Super Hot for probably about 2 hours, and I was just like, it broke me for 3 days. But that could be because I'm 37.
Okay. Well, wait, first take breaks, obviously, but number 2, go next time you go to the eye doctor, or you can even measure it yourself. There's an IPD, which is how far your pupils are. Make sure that's dialed in correctly. And with the Oculus Quest, it's really silly. They jump like 5 millimeters.
Three
Because
options.
you
They
can
give you three
adjust.
options,
You can
right?
adjust. Yeah.
Yeah, but like that stinks.
Yeah,
I wish, why didn't they do it like millimeter by millimeter?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can't fine tune it. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Going on forward with news. I don't know how new this is. I think this was actually last year, but it's important to bring up. There's a company called Cat VR, and they fully funded within 24 hours something called the Cat VR C, which Bobby, I sent a picture of it in the Facebook chat.
Okay.
And it's a in-home treadmill, basically, for being able to actually physically walk, just like in Ready Player One, in the virtual world. And it is, you really got to be a VR enthusiast for everything. Obviously, new tech is always going to be super expensive at first, but I think, Jesse, you might know more of the price, but isn't it like $1,500?
I'm not sure the price of that one.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, they were saying like, yeah, I think they were saying it was going to be like $1,500, and it can fit. It's not like, it's still a big piece of equipment, but it's not like, yeah, you can set it right next to your bed. And so the reality is, it could be quite a conversation piece if you got like a lady friend that comes over and like, what the heck is that? But
you just tell them that's
it's a virtual treadmill.
That's how you stay fit.
I'm running my marathon. I can't run a marathon in Chicago because of COVID-19. So I'm going to use my virtual treadmill to run the Chicago Marathon.
Let's be honest,
from my understanding,
in your bedroom, you're not having a girlfriend.
Yeah, probably not.
I disagree with that. My wife would absolutely love that in our bedroom. That came out wrong. Let me rephrase that. If we were dating, she's watching and she's like, "Oh my god." If we were dating and she came, my wife is extremely beautiful. If she came over to my house, came into my bedroom, saw that, she would be like, "All right, that's pretty cool. I want to try it out." So not all chicks are like that. I'm just gonna say,
right.
But I'm into VR. I don't want one of those. Like, it's,
you don't.
Yeah, I really wanted to ask your take on it. Like,
I've used VR. You are uncomfortable. You get tired in 15 minutes. Like, like there's a lot of problems with them. Like, could you play super hot? You slam your head against the metal bar or whatever. Like,
right.
And the only thing, it'd be cool to be like in Skyrim and like just walk forever. But
right,
you were talking about your eyes being tired after 2 hours. Imagine walking or running for 2 hours. Like,
yeah,
I'm a marathon runner, so I have run 4 to 5 hours, and I've done Ironman. So
on purpose.
So
why?
But also, my understanding, Bob, if we go back to that picture, these treadmills are not like your traditional treadmill where it's an actual belt. Isn't it basically just an extremely slippery surface?
Yeah, that's they usually are. Yeah.
So you kind of have to actually train your body to run in a different way than you're used to running. So there's also a problem with that, but also there is a guy called Smart. He has a YouTube channel called Smarter Every Day, and he went to the headquarters of the people that made the treadmill for Ready Player One, and they're actually trying to work on a physical treadmill that actually moves with your movement, which might be more natural of a movement than just this slippery surface that you wear special shoes and everything in order to like run.
I don't understand why would anyone want a treadmill? Why not just do room scale? Just like the best.
I think it's because
actually walking.
I think it's because a lot of people don't have a ton of space, a lot of people live in small apartments, and that's kind of where they're trying to get their market at.
Well, I mean, if you have $1,500 or however much this costs to spend,
you probably have enough space, but also you might just be a big enthusiast, and But anyway, that was like a big thing in the VR world that like it Kickstarter fully funded in 24 hours. I believe they're on the market now. If not, they're going to be soon.
They're on the market now. I've seen videos of people
for consumers though.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
If I knew you were bringing that up, I would have sent you the link. But
gotcha.
I think, if I may ask, who's seen Ready Player One? Who's seen that movie? Do you guys think that's the future of gaming?
We kind of have already talked about that.
I was late.
Yeah. I think that in a sense, it already is kind of here in some ways.
It's here, but it's not readily available to everyone.
Well,
it's too expensive,
I think the Quest 2 is
expensive. The Quest 2 is $300, and that's cheaper than a PlayStation 5.
Yeah, I think the Quest 2 is what is making.
But it's also
the difference.
It's also internet based, correct? You need a good.
No. I mean, if it's multiplayer games, it is, but if you play single player, you don't need fast internet.
It's internet based, as in you cannot use it unless you have the internet. You have to download it from the internet, all your games.
Yeah.
So it is internet based.
Right.
It's internet based in that, but you don't need to be connected to the internet all the time to interact with the server.
Once you have it downloaded, if it's a single player game, you don't need to be connected.
Downloaded into the hardware.
Yeah.
Into the Rift. So okay.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Next thing. In my opinion, a huge announcement. I really want to get Jesse's take and Joe's take because he has a Quest 2. Resident Evil 4 was announced as going to be released again, which that game is on freaking every system, but it's going to be for the first time ever in virtual reality. Jesse first, what's your take on that?
Well, the best version of Resident Evil 4 to date is the Wii version because you can point and shoot it. Now it's going to be even better. I can't even imagine like aiming down the gun.
Yeah.
It's going to be.
So you're excited about it.
Yeah, if I can handle being in a horror game. I'm not really
you're actually in the horror game.
Yeah.
You know, I have not tried Resident Evil 7 VR yet because I don't know if I could do it. Like
I played for 2 minutes and I took the headset off.
Yeah. All right, Joe, what about you? Are you a horror?
I love horror games. When my wife and I were dating, I had her come over she came over to visit, and she put on my PlayStation VR, and she was doing the Resident Evil 7, where the woman is walking around with a knife. You guys remember that?
Yeah, it was like a demo, right?
Yeah, it's a demo, and she had it on. And she's sitting down in her chair, and that moment where the woman walks behind you, and she comes over.
Yeah,
I made sure that I ran my hands through her hair, and she about pissed herself. And she's like, "I'm done." Nope. And but the truth of the matter is, I never did it. I just let her do it. So,
okay. So, what do you think about Resident Evil 4 being?
Man, that's going to be fantastic. If you love horror games, that's going to be right up your alley. It's going to be great. I'm definitely going to buy it and try it out for Halloween.
I think it's going to be a huge factor into more people getting into virtual reality. I think that it got announced at Resident Evil's 25th anniversary. They had a big direct, and it was kind of just like, hey, this is happening. But I think the internet blew up more than maybe what people were expecting. And I think it's going to be a lot bigger of a deal than what, some companies or some news broadcasts are like, oh, this is happening, blah, blah, blah. But I think it's going to be a really big deal. So
correct me if I'm wrong, but the new Resident Evil is called The Village?
Yeah, it's Village, which is 8 because VILL spells, Roman numeral 8.
But that doesn't have VR support, right?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to make an update once the VR 2 comes out and they'll put it in VR. But right now, we have not heard that it's going to be VR supported. So
that game looks fun.
Yeah.
It's gonna have werewolves and vampires. I'm down for it.
Yeah. Okay, a few more things. Jesse, I heard about this from you. It's a company called Decamove. What is Decamove? Why is it so important? Why is it like it's getting really good ratings?
Yeah. So, well, the move portion, I think, is just this little thing you clip to your waistband or whatever, your pants or your belt, and it can make it feel more natural when you walk. Lots of VR games have problems where like you have to steer, and then, or it's like the way you're looking, and this will help a lot.
Because isn't it basically if I'm the way that I'm looking is the way that I have to walk, right?
Yeah, lots of games have that.
So the Decamove allows you to look a different way than the way you're going to walk.
Yeah. So Joe, you said you played Population 1. One of the examples was they put on a Decamove and they were able to go one direction, turn around, and shoot people. Like, so you can. Without that, like I think Population 1's one where you go the direction you're looking, so like you can't run away and shoot the opposite direction.
I don't know. I know that the allure to Population 1 is you can climb anything, and you can climb anything and turn around and shoot people. But I've never shot anyone from behind because I was focused on.
Yeah. Well, and so. Some things about Deca, I don't know the company that well, but it's going to be a competitor to like the Quest. They're going to have a standalone headset.
Sure.
This Move thing is just one component of that.
Which is in the Decamove is you're able to use it with pretty much any VR headset, right?
So I think
yeah.
you can.
It's just an additional thing, battery charge that you attach to yourself to just have an extra, understanding of. It's not full body tracking, but it's just allowing you to look a different way than where you're moving, kind of a thing. So that was another one. And then rumors recently for quite better half of this year, the rumor was that Oculus was going to create a Quest Pro or a Quest 3 this year. And Oculus just came out saying this year that is not happening. Their full focus is on the Quest 2. Who knows about next year, but this year for sure, Quest 2 all the way, full support for that. Don't expect a Quest Pro model or anything like that.
I would have been upset. I would have been upset as a consumer.
Because you just bought a Quest 2.
It just came out and they announced Quest Pro. I would have felt jaded. Because I would rather have a Pro automatically, something that's better than what I just bought. I would have been jaded about that. Yeah.
Gotcha. We don't have to talk much on this. It's just a quick article that I found, and I don't know if, Jesse, you have heard of it. Have you heard of C-Real?
C-Real? No, I don't think so.
Okay. It's the article is called "The Futuristic VR Tech Could Be a Game Changer for Virtual Reality Headsets," and it says a company building light field display technology for mixed reality headsets has teased the impressive performance of its latest prototype, and it could be a game changer for VR. It demonstrates the capability of focusing at long distances and rendering high-resolution imagery up close, making a leap forward for mixed reality technology, which can be hampered by less than clear visual fidelity.
So it's interesting to use the term "making a leap forward" because the company that had the most hype about light field technology was called Magic Leap.
Okay.
People said the same exact thing about that company, and they got a bunch of money for funding and blew it all. And
okay, so what is light field technology?
So the HoloLens and the Magic Leap that they ended up actually releasing, those just do like holograms, where it's just like an image displayed on.
Oh, sorry.
But light fields actually are like manipulating the light that goes into your eyes, not like a display
Okay.
or reflection. It's actually the Magic Leap demo that they have. It's a giant machine, and like they would have celebrities and rich people and CEOs come and do it. And everyone who did that was a firm believer light field will change the world. That's how they get so much money.
And then nothing's happened from it.
They weren't able to make it small.
Oh.
They do it with the big thing. So if this See Real company makes it small, yeah, that's like, forget about VR. Now AR is the #1 thing ever.
Interesting.
Throw away all your monitors, all your televisions, throw away your smartphone, throw away any display, because you will just have glasses. That's how game changing.
Right. Gotcha. Okay. Next thing is the main topic of discussion. We got an hour left that I really wish Daniel was here, because him and I disagree firmly on this subject. The question is VR gameplay? Now, we're not talking VR as a whole, but we're talking VR and video gaming. Is it a fad, or is it going to be a permanent part of the future of gaming? And then in the question, I said, why is Daniel wrong? But he's not here. So
I agree. I think VR will be a fad. I think AR will be.
Okay. I was wondering what your take was on it. So why do you think that VR is a fad?
I think a lot of people, when they play it, like there's lots of cool games and they try them, but then they go back to sitting on the couch with the controller. I think it's a lot of work. It's not as easy. It's not as relaxing. But I think once AR comes, well, like I said, you just throw away your TVs, because you'll just have like augmented. You can put a TV anywhere on any wall of your house, any size, anything.
So I disagree right there. We already tried 3D TVs, and that failed because people had to put something on their face. They had to keep it charged to get the 3D experience in their house.
Well, and the 3D experience sucked. So
yeah, it wasn't.
I mean,
great.
again, and so that's one thing. You have to make the technology much better for it to work. And is it going to be there? Is augmented reality am I going to put on a headset to watch TV with my family?
I think this would be like glasses, not in the future.
Well, whatever. I mean, glasses, Google set.
I think you just wear them all the time. You just wear them 24/7.
Yeah, but then kind of like if anyone remembers Back to the Future 2, where Marty McFly Jr. had the headset on and he was watching TV, walking all over the place. No, that would be cool for like the single person or the person at their desk who needed multiple screens going on. Like me, I have 3 screens going on right now. So it'd be great if I had a pair of glasses on, and then if I looked to my left, my screen 1 would be there, screen 2, and I didn't need to have screens popping up as a user. That would be great. As a family, as an entertainment system, I don't think that's necessary to the future, because then you don't have that shared experience as a family.
Why not? Why couldn't they have it where exactly wherever your TV is today, all of your glasses just think the TV is there?
I have to buy glasses for everyone in my family to participate in that. And how expensive will that be?
Hold on,
it's like, okay, I'm going to have to buy them a phone. I'm going to have to buy them glasses.
No. Now you don't have to buy them phones, because you'll just have the glasses that will replace the phones.
Well, again, it all depends how is accepting are people going to be to this technology? It's hard for people to give up something that they're used to. Yeah. So that's where I think it will definitely come as a user. I can see that for people making movies, people engineering, people in in studios. That's where it's going to help out. I don't think it's going to so much translate into the family experience, but if everyone wants to prove me wrong, please prove me wrong, and I will eat crow. So
I think for the next couple of years, you're totally right. But like once once they like, don't think of it as like, I don't know, don't think of it as AR. Think of it as like, instead of buying my new TV for $1,000, I'm gonna get these glasses, or they'll have contact lenses or
No,
whatever.
I want it, Jesse. I
Yeah.
already want it. I mean, look, I take my money, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying I don't think it's going to be a long while before it's ready. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm already
I
sold
agree.
on it. I'll let you know. I'm sold.
Yeah, we're talking the future. All right.
But then, yeah,
So
so once they have like crystal clear and contacts or glasses, and you can say, you know, don't buy a TV, just buy this. Oh, you don't need a computer because, like I was saying, it goes to the cloud. Like, you don't need a phone. Pretty soon now, like, you're actually saving money by just having one display rather than 10 displays in your house with a phone, with your tablet, with people's laptops.
Again, I think we're a long way from having a one-stop shop for everything, having a Tony Stark phone that will hop up and be everything for you.
I don't know.
I want again, I'm not as close as into the technology than you are. So you're probably a lot knowledgeable than me. So I'm just looking at the consumer standpoint. So from my perspective, I totally see that. I would love to have one device for everything, powerful enough to do whatever I wanted to do. But
well, we got a lot
with semiconductors also on a short supply, there's a lot going against it right now.
Well, you could argue that the glasses actually would save it, because then you don't need semiconductors for every single monitor, every single TV, every single phone. You just have one.
How big are the glasses? What's the power output going to be on this?
Yeah, I think they're pretty low. There's a few that are, it depends on the technologies they use and how big and all that. But the light field stuff, that would be interesting. I think that's what we need to.
So are we talking like, you know?
Did you ever play with Google Glass?
That's what I was just going to say. Are we talking like Google Glass, only like way advanced from Google Glass?
Yeah. Or meant, you know, in the Quest, when you're setting up your room and you can see, and then you like map out the room, like just like that, except for no screen, no video. It's real light.
So here's my take on just, I'm not talking the whole world, you know, everything from movies, TV, concerts, whatever, just straight gaming. I feel like there is always, and this is just my opinion, if once more and more people get acclimated with VR, I think in the world of gaming, there is always going to be a level of value towards your and this is scary in a way, but like you are completely leaving the area that you are in and you are completely going to a different area, where with AR, you still know that you're in your living room. And so I think that virtual reality is still going to be a thing long way down the road, because it is giving such an opportunity for a complete world to be created, which is what video gaming can really take advantage of. So that's my take on it, is that like we're already kind of there with Oculus Quest 2. You can, you know, be in this world that is completely digitally made, and it tricks your brain into thinking that you are actually in this place. And so I don't feel like virtual reality is going to go away. I think it's just going to get better and better. It's going to get more and more realistic, because there is still a level of like, this is not real, you know, but kind of like that South Park episode that you were talking about, like it is going to get to a point of like, you're going to put those headset on and it's going to just feel like you're in this place.
Yeah, I think there's truth to that.
Because as cool as AR is, and I'm not saying that it's not going to be a thing, and there's probably going to be a blur between AR and VR as well. But I think just the reality of like the future of movies as well, potentially, that like you can actually, I mean, I think there's going to be a blur between video games and movies, and that like you can play the character in a movie, you know, potentially that's going to be a part of the future. But I think with video gaming, like when some of the first computers were made, what was one of the first things that was done? People played games on them.
Yeah.
You know, like I think that we are just naturally creatures of play. And I think that any chance that we can get to like have an opportunity to be completely in a different world, in a different area, just like Ready Player One, like I don't think that's going anywhere. I think that that is going to become more and more of a thing. And to completely quote my brother, because he sent it in a message, he said, it will be a thing for a lot of people at first, then less and less, and then less and less and less. And then it will just be gone, just like every other fad. What is everyone's take on that statement? I fully disagree.
I think it could. That could happen. It just depends on if somebody comes out with a killer headset that has all the features, the price, like Bobby said, and it's easy to use. And I think once you try Quest 2, then you're like, whoa,
yeah,
we're one step closer to that. Like,
do you think that the Quest 2 is already? I mean, okay, so let's talk sales, right? The Quest 2 has been out for 6 months, and it has outsold all other Oculus headsets that have been on the market for the past 6 years.
Yeah.
So within 6 months, it outsold 6 years of Oculus selling headsets. So I feel like the Oculus Quest 2 is already like that device that is going to be the thing that gets a lot of people into it.
So
I think your brother's point was that like people will use it and then they'll be like, I'm done with the gimmick. I'm going back to my tried and true. Yeah, one reason I see people going back is it's just easier to sit on the couch and veg out and play. Putting on VR, it's like draining. It's a lot of work. So like,
but what if they're just, you know, what if the technology gets better and better and better, where it's not draining, you don't feel any sort of whatever, and what if, like, as weird as it is, like everyone's watching TV on their Oculus or on whatever VR headset it is, you know?
Yeah, I can see
It
that.
said,
And also,
according to Super Data, the Quest 2 sold over 1 million units in the fourth quarter of 2020. An increased number of VR headsets in homes would likely increase the consumer base for VR game and app developers, likely luring additional investments into the area.
Yeah, that was the second thing I was going to bring up is that you need a killer headset and then you need killer apps. I think people go back to the flat gaming. People call it pancake gaming now.
Yeah, sure.
Because that's where all the killer third party or AAA titles are.
Yes, which is why like things like the fact that Resident Evil 4 is coming, which is an old game, but it's still an incredibly beloved game. I think that we're going to see more and more AAA games coming to virtual reality.
Well, and hopefully Valve keeps making games for VR. That would be huge.
Alberto, what is your take on this? Is it a fad? Is it going to go away? I know that you've only tried it a little bit, but what are your thoughts?
Well, you might hate me, but I don't know. I'm a little bit of a mix, and maybe the reason I say that I feel like you might hate me is because like it's really easy that since I don't have a headset, the VR headset, I think a lot of people would be like, "Well, you don't like it because you don't have it," and it has nothing to do with that. When I first started at GameStop, the PSVR was just coming out, and I remember if 20 people walked into the store, maybe 2 of them is bringing up VR. But those 2 customers that are bringing up VR are incredibly passionate. Each one of those, every single VR customer that ever came in when it was just first starting to hit the market has been incredibly passionate. And to this day, they still are. So I think that the market won't really grow, and it's probably not going to get to the point where it's going to be in every household. Bobby brought up a point that like I'm thinking about a lot. Like I'm at the age where of course, my girlfriend and I, we'd want to move into a home. And after that, start a family. But with that comes a lot of extra costs. And VR is really cool right now. But it's going to be really expensive unless there is a really affordable thing. And like you said earlier, it'd be really cool if there is some sort of VR headset, some sort of model, some sort of console that can bundle it all together at a pretty solid, a decent price. I know earlier it was mentioned that, well, it's still technically cheaper than a PS5. And while that is true, at the same time, I'm still in no rush to even get a PS5, even as it is. So I think,
Well, you probably couldn't get one anyway.
yeah. But I think like I don't know. I just have like a lot of mixed things. There is a lot of stuff that has happened in video game history, obviously, that was a fad. It took over the world, and it really did go into every household. Sitting right next to me is a Guitar Hero drum set,
Right.
and that's a huge reminiscent of the mid 2000s. And it unfortunately it kind of will forever be that. But for a time being, it was a little way of immersing yourself. I think if anything though, VR won't grow to this high heights by any means. I think there is a limited market for it. It's a much smaller and tighter market, and I specifically think that because those that have families, it's probably not the affordable thing to do. Those that do live in small apartments, like you say, it might not be the affordable option as well. And I I don't know. I just don't see a huge necessity just yet in order to get it because I went to the arcade, I got my VR, fill, and I know that's almost insulting to even compare it to like like the Quest 2. By no means am I saying they're an equivalent, but I got a taste of VR and I'm like, I'm good. I'm probably good for the next like three years. That was cool. If I ever want to try it again, I'll try it for $10. No commitment. I just walk in, slide my card, and just play it for like 15 minutes, and then I leave, and I'm totally fine with that. And I'm fully satisfied. My favorite games have been stuff like Mafia and Final Fantasy, Persona, Last of Us. All four of those games are story-driven games. So while I think that like these kind of like VR games can be really really awesome, because there has been. I mean, like last year alone, how many awards has Half-Life Alex
Yeah.
like been nominated for? Clearly there is potential in the games, but
For actual storytelling. Because
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, like, can you imagine playing The Last of Us, which is my favorite game, but then you're actually playing as Joel?
as Joel, yeah.
Like,
So I
would you
think
be into that?
I would and I wouldn't. I think the thing that scares me the most, and the only reason that I haven't really bought one, I'm always worried that like I'm gonna end up buying it for like 2 or 3 games and that's it. Someone earlier mentioned that, I think it was you specifically, and I just brought this up about like getting like the big bundle thing. There's a reason that the PS2 sold so well, and it wasn't just because the game library. It because let's
Yeah,
be honest,
DVD
it was a DVD player.
Yeah.
The Wii, I mean, like that could be the counter argument that, well, the Wii is one of the best selling consoles of all time. Yeah, but people bought that because it was the affordable option of the big three, and it was really easily accessible.
And Wii
So
Sports. Yeah.
yeah, so it's
Right.
stuff like that. So VR, it's not crazy affordable. It's not
Well, it
really
is now,
easily.
though. It is
Yeah,
actually affordable.
slowly now, yeah, but like when it first came out,
Oh,
oh
yeah,
my
it was
God, it was due to
crazy
those
expensive.
prices. I remember seeing those and people sliding like their cards. It's like that's a lot of money to just play like Until Dawn, Rush of Blood. Like
Yeah.
that's a lot of money just for that. But nowadays it's finally, I think it's gonna finally start to grow a little bit. If anything though, PSVR has been out for, this will be his 5th year anniversary. The fact it's lasted 5 years, half a decade, and it's still growing strong. And not
And
only
they're working
that,
on
but
a second one. Yeah.
yeah, they're working on a sequel for its brand new,
Yeah.
huge, fast-selling console. I think it's a testament that it's here to stay, but it's not here to dominate any sort of like huge field of anything.
That is in the chat that we had earlier. That is my point, that like I don't think that VR is going to take over the gaming market.
Yeah.
That's not my point. But my point is I don't think it's going to go away. I think
Mhm.
that there's going to be a large enough group of people that find value in a deeper level of immersing themselves in a
Mhm.
video game,
Yeah.
that like there's going to be enough people that are going to like, I want more of that. Like my wife tried it the other day and she played Astrobot and she was like, you're never going to want to play your other video games ever again. Like, which I mean, I'm a retro video game collector. I will play those, but it was just like so incredible to her that like she asked her about if people don't know what it is. You are the camera, and it's basically like a 3D Mario game where you're this little robot, and just like any VR, you're looking to the left and you're looking to the right, and you're seeing you are holding a controller, moving the robot throughout the stage. And she was just blown away that like you look to the left and there's coins over there that she sees you need to collect, and like you actually have to look to the left in order to get them, kind of a thing. So she was just like, you're never going to want to play your normal video games ever again after playing this. So
Andrew, you like retro games? On Steam, I think it's on Steam. If not, itch.io. They have a
Pixel Rip.
No, they have. Well, yeah, that's a cool game, but they have a emulator for NES, and it turns
and it's 3D.
Yeah, it was a really cool project. It was recent, I think, right? Like only a couple years back.
Yeah, he's been working on it. It's gotten better and better.
Yeah. Bobby, what was that? What was that last comment?
Last comment. The PSVR headset, which was released in October 2016, sold 5 million units as of January 2020. Units of PSVR worldwide from February 2017 from January 2020.
Hey, Alberto, I have a question. You said you worked at GameStop?
Yeah, I worked there most of my bachelor degree, yeah.
And you brought up the point that like people are still buying VR even though it's been 5-6 years. And everyone seems to say like, I bought it because I tried it. Once I tried it, then I bought it.
Yes.
One of those Andrew brought up earlier, like you can't explain it. You got to just do it and then you'll understand. What do you think, like if GameStop, I know they're not staffed to be able to have demos of VR, but what if they did demos of VR? Like the adoption rate would have went through the roof. Like they have kiosks for PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
But they don't
Who's going to the mall?
Well, yeah, nowadays.
Who's going to the mall?
We're talking pre-COVID.
This was pre.
I remember at
the
Best
past
Buy.
is the past, but what about the future?
I remember at Best Buy they had PlayStation VR. It was like 1 or 2 days that you could
on weekends.
Yeah, they'd show up and you could try it, kind of a
No,
thing.
but I definitely had that same thought, Jesse, before. Like my manager Frank, for example, he bought a PSVR pretty early on. He tried out every single PSVR game, and at first he loves new shiny toys. New something comes out with the old, in with the new constant. So the one that really sold it for him was Resident Evil 7. He loved it, and he wouldn't stop talking about it for a week. Little by little, just the way that he was explaining just his experience, I started to really gain a huge curiosity. The problem was, for that 4, 5, 6, 7 hour shift that I was with him and him explaining this awesome VR experience, by the time I go home, it's almost like that was just a really cool story he told me. I still haven't tried it. And the barrier of entry is still a huge, it's still $300 or $200, whatever the case might be. At least, like, if he was trying to sell me a PS5, he can at least, compare. It's like, well, do you have a PS4? Well, yes, I am one of the 106 million people that own a PS4. I do have one, and I have played, and I really enjoyed it. He's like, it's like that, but better. I'm like, well, there's something that I could compare it to. That's awesome. The only thing I have it to compare it to, and the only thing that like people that don't have it is either a close friend or family that they can try it out at, or an arcade, which is much lower in quality when compared to any of that.
It seems like you just need more experience with it. It seems like Joe needs to come over to your place, bring his Oculus Quest 2, and you need to just try it.
I know for a fact, though.
Kiosks, that would have been amazing.
Yeah, I know for a fact that they had like even just pre-COVID, of course. This is a whole nother world now, but pre-COVID, they had just one small station where you can try out even something like PlayStation Worlds, which was a giant demo disc.
Yeah.
And like I've seen gameplay, but really like watching gameplay of a VR game will never feel the same as actually being in it. I remember watching gameplay of Super Hot and then playing it at the arcade. And even though I only played it at just $10-15,
dude,
holy guacamole, makes a difference.
Anybody who has played Super Hot.
If you watch Super Hot gameplay, you'd be like, that looks boring. The graphics are terrible.
Yeah.
Then you're like, whoa, I'm Neo.
Yeah.
Yes. But sorry, Bobby, you were going to ask.
Oh, no, I was going to say, weren't you introduced to the N64 in a McDonald's?
Yeah, yeah.
Wasn't
So
that
it's
you? So that was, I mean, they need to put those things back in McDonald's. I mean,
I could see some some liability issues of. I mean, the other day my son was playing Super Hot and he straight up smacked me in the face trying to like, throw a gun at somebody because I was too close to him. So that is the
it
other
was
thing with VR, which
well, no, go ahead.
well, that's the other thing with VR that like Oculus is really working on is if you don't know with Oculus Quest 2, when you first start, you establish your boundary. And so you literally, there's cameras on it and you can see cameras of your house and you draw an entire boundary of like, this is the area that I'm going to play. So then if you get outside that boundary, like a wall comes up and it shows you like, hey, this is your boundary that you drew. If you go past that, you're getting into an unsafe territory. And new updates that I've heard that they're working on is if someone walks into your boundary, it will let you know that someone's walked into your boundary, which is also pretty cool. So anyway, what were you saying, Alberto?
I was gonna say, again, during my early college years, I also worked at another retail store. Ripped to this store, but it was Carson Perry Scott, and that one also kind of made me realize one thing, and I think this kind of hurt VR. I think, in my opinion, when VR was first coming out and PSVR was like kind of like the bigger name because it was finally hitting home consoles. There was a lot of cash grab, really third random parties that were selling phone VR headsets at like counters. And I remember working at Carson's and at GameStop, and I even bought one of them. They're like $20 or
Google
15,
Cardboard.
$20. Yeah, so you try it on, you go home, and there's specific YouTube. Yeah, there's specific YouTube videos that are supposed to get you immersed and whatnot, and you try it out. And again, I think one thing is that also, my opinion, I think, really gave awful first impression.
It was
to
like
a lot of people.
240p or something like that.
It was awful quality. You really did get motion sick with that. It was flimsy piece of plastic, and I think a lot of people bought that and just probably thought, if this is what VR is going to offer me, I'm not chipping in another $200. I already chipped in 25, and I don't even like it.
Yeah, I definitely think that those things, or even like, isn't the Oculus Go? That's just something that you put the phone in, right?
No. I think so. No.
Oh, that's not okay.
Quest, but only 3 degrees of freedom, and you're gonna get
that's what it was.
Gotcha. But yeah, those sort of cheap things where you put the phone in there has just ruined people's mindset of like what virtual reality can be.
I can't tell you how many people have said, "Oh, I get motion sickness from VR," because they did those phone things. And of course, if it's 40 to 60 like frames per second, you're gonna get sick.
Yeah.
When are we gonna go into the Matrix? Like, just plug it directly into our cerebral cortex, and then have Morpheus show up and say, "Okay, do you want the red pill or the blue pill?"
There's some companies, and I don't remember if it was Microsoft or Facebook recently, or they're really, really working on it, but there's other smaller companies. They're working on wristbands so they can receive electronic signals to your fingers. So you can use that, Andrew mentioned the Quest 2, or Joe did, uses the cameras. Well, what if your hand's behind your back? Or also there's like a slight delay, but if it's reading electronic signals, it can know what you're doing. So they're already working on that sort of stuff.
And then talk about like haptic suits or gloves. Like,
oh yeah,
how much do you think that's going to be a thing?
I do some side work for a VR company, and we use haptic vests for racing games and stuff. So you go around a corner and you feel slam on the brakes and you feel it. And
is it pretty realistic feeling?
Yeah, I mean,
or is it just more like this is a vibrator thing? No,
I mean, once you get the visuals, you already get lost. I feel like if you asked me, like if I didn't even have the vest on and I went around a corner, like, and you took the headset off and said, "Did you feel like you're going around the corner?" I would say yes.
Yeah.
Even without the haptics. So the haptics just add another.
That adds more to it.
And then
What VR company, if you don't have to say if you don't want to, but what VR company are you doing side stuff for?
Adventures in VR.
Okay. What do they do?
They just go to different events and they'll have VR setups. Like if you have a very fancy party or something or a media event.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, the last thing that I want to kind of give on my defense for the future of VR would just be the reality at, like, I think we're all over the age of 30. Is that right?
No, me and Christian are not.
Oh, dang. Well, 20s, 30s.
Yeah.
40.
We are
40.
40. Sorry, man.
Yeah.
Well, you're just that good looking that
Yeah,
I
young
couldn't even
40,
tell.
Bobby.
Thank you. Yes.
As hard as it is to believe, we are not the future of video gaming. And so that is where my point is, that like you give VR to a kid and it's just instant. They know exactly what to do. They don't have really any questions at all. It's super intuitive. And so I just think, okay, we might have issues with like motion sickness or this or that or whatever, but like I think that it's going to become more and more a thing that like kids in the future will be doing that. I think they're going to be,
will solve those problems. Motion sickness is pretty much gone.
yeah,
Will go away as resolution. I was curious, how do your sons like VR? Are they like obsessed?
they love it.
All right, because I know they liked video games. Like they love the Wii and
They
all
love
that.
playing Minecraft. They love playing Roblox. They're the classic 9-year-old, those types of games, right? But they like totally love VR. And
So, they have Minecraft VR.
as well. Yeah. And we're wondering whether we want to actually introduce it to them or not, because they already play Minecraft way too much as it is. So but yeah, our next door neighbor, who he's 10, he is the one that has the Quest 2. And it's just like I mean, I don't think it's just going to be a fad. I think there's like the level of like it is a very affordable thing for like a birthday present or a Christmas present for your middle class family. You know, I'm not saying it's going to be affordable for everyone, but like $300 for a middle class family, like I think that's going to be a pretty easy thing for most middle class families to be able to buy a Quest 2 for their kid.
Right now, for everyone who's not showing, I'm showing a clip of an old Simpsons episode where everyone got a bunch of money to the school, and Lisa's envisioning VR headsets in the classroom, and she's going to Mongolia, and Genghis Khan saying, "Welcome, Lisa. Welcome. You're gonna eat who I eat, kill who I kill." You know, so and that's what immediately came to my mind when we thought of this conversation is VR now, especially too, will VR be a big part of education?
Yep. And that's what I wanted to go in forward to was
100%.
we kind of talked about like just the gaming world. What is VR going to be beyond just gaming? Education, concerts, meetings, sporting events, like art, you know. There was a company, I read an article just recently, that multi-million-dollar deal that was just made to be able to create, like this just happened within the past week or so, to be able to create virtual reality experiences for concerts. So people are going to be going to concerts and maybe they don't have to spend $100 to go see Coldplay. They can spend $20 and probably get a better view than spending $100 and getting a nosebleed seat.
Coldplay can be in one location and basically have concert across the world. So now they don't need to go on tour.
Right.
Or they can have tours.
Also, I will say that being someone who works in the music industry, touring is actually a very lucrative. That's where because it's not even about the ticket sales as much as it is merchandise
Yeah, but now get this, man. Now you're having a concert where you could have 300 million people go to it.
And then if you want to buy a shirt,
merch,
right? Yeah,
you're
that's a good point. Yeah.
Well,
Because they're already doing concerts on YouTube. Like Coldplay a couple years ago did like a sunrise concert where, you know, it was a good 2-hour long concert and it literally started pitch black. And then throughout the concert, the sun is rising and it just like, and they did it live and it sounded amazing. And it's just like, yeah, that's definitely could be the future for sure.
right? The technology has to be, and this is where I have a hard time. I mean, again, it all depends on what the children of the future are. Maybe, you know, maybe the old fogey in me. But I do miss going to concerts, you know, interacting.
Yeah, I think concerts are always going to be a thing.
Yeah, I mean, having a live thing. Now, maybe I don't think it's going to completely replace the actual in-person, especially if things get back to normal. But,
right.
You know, you're not going to, the tactile function of, and just the social interaction of interacting with people, loving what you love, feeling, you know, the sweat. And some of my favorite memories have been at rock concerts, you know, rocking out at a Korn concert or, you know, feeling the wind in my hair at a Dave Matthews concert with a cold beer in my hand. No, yeah, granted, I can probably put on an Oculus Rift, you know, have a full stereo piping through my ears, hear Dave Matthews, have the window open and have a beer right there. But is it the same experience?
No, I don't think it's the same. And this is where I think they're still going to have those concerts because there is so much money to be made. But I think it's probably going to be a little mix of that where they're going to realize, like I make a living right now running tech for a church. And I've done that for either churches or for a university for the past 5-6 years. Right. And especially when COVID hit, all the churches in all of America were like, we got to get online if they're not online yet. And so, because nobody's able to physically come to the building. And so I think that that's going to be somewhat the future of concerts is like, whoa, we can still have all these people come to this show and make a lot of money, but we can make even more money by also advertising. You can see Coldplay with this VR experience for $20-$30. And you can also, after the concert, buy the t-shirt online, you know, all of that stuff. And
well,
so
again, I do agree. Like my personal church that I belong to, they have found more followers during COVID because they're able to get online.
Yeah.
They've always been online, but they really made it easy to jump in with their live shows, you know, and I think technology too, it's gotten easier. Anyone with a camera, a decent internet connection, and OBS studio can, and a little prep work, can do a great job broadcasting to your audience. And I think it's going to be a mixture. It's not going to be, I think for the people that can afford it, they might use it, but I don't think it's going to be an overall, it's going to replace everything.
So let's talk education. Or go ahead, Jesse, and then we'll talk education.
I agree with both Bobby and Andrew that I don't think it's a replacement for real experiences. It's a virtual experience. It's a very similar one. But there is some actual benefits. I've attended a few concerts in VR. And one cool thing was I was like dancing, jumping around and stuff. I got sweaty. I just took my headset off, went and grabbed a drink, came back. If you're at a real concert, you're in the front row or something, good luck getting a drink. Good luck getting a moment. Good, like if you got to go to the bathroom, good luck. Like, also, I didn't need to drive there and park, and it wasn't like a whole huge thing. It was put on the headset. An hour later, take the headset off.
The convenience factor. And that's where I think like experiences like that, you can't necessarily have an AR, or maybe you will be able to, but it's not going to be the same as like feeling more like you're at the concert.
Yeah.
You know, sure, maybe you could have Coldplay in your living room, but that's probably not as cool as like putting on this headset and like being at the concert. in the front row. I don't know. Maybe having them in your living room is cooler. I don't know.
With that Magic Leap, that was AR, and they had a contract with the NBA, so you could basically be sitting on your couch and you could see them play in your living room as if you're like front row. And the cool thing about that is, you then can have unlimited people with front row at the concert, unlimited people with front row at the sporting event.
Yep. And they are also in VR. You can watch NBA games at front line ticket or front row seats.
Yeah, they have wrestling matches in NBA.
Yeah, and you can watch movies in a movie theater, connect with your friend, all that stuff. How about education? Because I mean, if there's anything that I've learned from my father, who he runs a business that like fixes cell phones and iPads and broken devices, a huge part of the money that he can make is just from education, because you give these kids a giant piece of glass, they're gonna break it. But also just like
look how hard it is to get. Oh, sorry.
Well, just if you think about it, if you wanted to get an entire classroom virtual reality headset so they can all experience going to the pyramids all together, that's 30 headsets that you will be selling to one classroom of a school of like 12, 13, 15 classrooms in that school across all of America, all of the world. That could be a very, very huge industry.
Well, yes, it could, but look how hard it is getting to people. You have kids in the suburbs of Chicago who are having trouble getting internet access, who are getting computers to people. Well, even at the school, people are even having issues. You have teachers coming back for the first time from COVID, and they're rooming in. The term is called rooming. And I'm sorry, my wife's a teacher. I hear a lot of this stuff coming in, but you have, and my heart goes out to a lot of these teachers who have to room in Zoom. They're showing up on the first day of class, and some of the technology issues are not even set up. So you have a long way to go before you're giving every kid a virtual reality experience like we saw in that Simpsons clip. And this is also, it would be great to have, but it's where a long way.
It's where I wish Daniel was here, because that's exactly what he works in. He works in IT for schools.
Right.
And he would have a lot more insight into how soon something like that.
Well, yeah, and he works for a district that has a lot of money.
Well, and also though, there are a lot of districts that do have a lot of money, and I'm wondering if it's something that could become a reality for those districts sooner than later.
We'll have to get down on the comment.
I don't think we're anywhere near that, but the topic of education doesn't necessarily mean school. Like, I did the Anne Frank experience.
That's a good point.
Super cool. Right. Learned a lot. Like, in general, the more immersive you can be, like, the better you'll learn something.
Yeah, there's statistics that you do gather, or you hold on to more information when it's a visual experience in virtual reality.
Right. When you have a lot, when you're not just learning from, when you're you're hitting all the points of you're visually, you're hitting the visual, you're hitting the tactile. That you're definitely become a better learner, and you get the information, you retain the information more. I do agree the benefits. I'm just thinking it's everyone. Again, it's everyone who has the cash, who, like, the first people with the microwaves, the first people with the CDs, the first people with the DVDs, and it's going to be a slow trickle until everything gets super cheap, and then you're there, and having the infrastructure to have that more often, to have those benefits. So
So
I don't know anything about schools, but do they have schools where they give kids all tablets now?
Oh yes, tons of schools have tablets.
There's kids there's first graders with Chrome devices.
If you could go back 10, 20 years ago and ask parents, would a school ever give people tablets or laptops? They'd say no. So I think maybe in 10, 20 years, maybe they'll give them VRs, but nowhere.
Also, I totally want to see an entire school or an entire classroom with all the kids having VR headsets and then see the teacher try to control all of them because that just sounds hilarious.
I think that would be, I think it'd be really awesome to see something like that. But I mean, just to kind of go along with you guys, it would take a long time. While I didn't work in IT, when I was in grad school, I worked in the faculty center, and part of my job was doing the basically just faculty IT support. So I was like the filter before it got to the IT department if there was something that I couldn't fix. And I was specifically working with like our online course stuff because everyone uses some sort of like online system application, and we were using this thing called Blackboard, and we're in the middle of like converting like a lot of different systems and whatnot. What I have learned in that experience, because I still worked there over the summer last summer, and I stopped working there in October. So that means I worked during the entire summer of 2020. And I will tell you that that whole summer of 2020 was nothing but just answering emails and phone calls and everything else, because there is a lot of professors that are not really up to date with technology. Let's say that a little more, kindly, but there's a lot of professors that just, there's a huge learning curve even for them.
Totally.
So having to teach them all that stuff, I think not even financially, just the real amount of time and instruction to give to the instructors so then they can instruct. That's almost like a whole nother hurdle. Like for us we, I don't have an Oculus right now, but I know that if you give me 15 minutes with it or even less, I can easily just pick it up and that's it. But if you give this to one of the older professors, like at the university I was at, good Lord, like I gotta give them like a module and a one-on-one lesson, and
but I'd be surprised, man.
By everyone else.
There's some videos out there of elderly using VR, and it's it's pretty incredible how quickly they can catch on to it too.
I do think there's a problem with, yes, you'll have to educate them how to use it, but I want to point out that the first few VR headsets, like how long did it take you, Andrew, to set up the PlayStation VR? A lot longer than the Quest 2. The Quest
there's
2,
a lot of cables.
That is true, actually.
Quest 2? Whoa. Like you unbox the thing and it just
30 seconds.
This, everything's set up.
Yeah,
that's true.
And here's the thing too,
it's going to be super easy.
Yeah.
As my generation gets older, I'm more comfortable with technology. So something that's coming up when I'm older, I like to think we're going to be more adaptable as we get older. And as the kids who are more adaptable with this situation, they'll be able to introduce it to us. So I think, right, we grew up in the information superhighway where technology was just exploding at an exponential rate.
Yeah, we knew the world before the internet.
Right. So, and we grew up with that. And I think we'll be able to adapt. It's a lot harder for the older generation. So maybe the technology that is introduced in the future to when we're, retiring might be easier for us. And it might be a little bit more adaptable too, to take that into consideration as well.
Yeah.
But then again, we might be all old fogies and crud and say like, no, give me my iPhone. I'm just going to watch it on there.
All right. We got 15 minutes. Cool. If anybody has any sort of insight into anything that we haven't touched on yet, or if there's anything that they think the future of VR is, say something in the comments and we'll try to touch on it quick. The last thing I really want to touch on, well, two things. One would be healthcare. How much do you think VR is going to be something in healthcare? Because it already is. People are already performing surgeries over virtual reality.
Yeah, I think the hospitals have the more money, so they'll definitely be a thing in the future.
Yeah, because if you think about it, if you're like this this surgeon that is just like incredible, and if you have the technology, and if all of these places around the world have the technology, this one doctor could be performing this surgery all around the world.
Yeah, Facebook at their Oculus Connect last year brought up, they did a test where people studied for a surgery exam with the normal classroom and textbooks, and whatever percentage, 85% or whatever, passed. But then they had a VR one, and it was like
Mhm.
99% of people passed.
Wow.
That's part of that education, right? You experience something, you're going to learn it much better.
Yeah.
So there's training the surgeons. Also, I think a cool thing with healthcare that's overlooked is, and I brought this up with the concerts, it's so much easier to just put your headset on. You don't have to drive anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Think about therapy visits or doctor's appointments. Already they have online doctor's appointments, and they're so much
Totally.
easier driving somewhere.
Yeah.
They become more affordable because the scheduling and all that just becomes easier. Doctors can just be at home. So I think
Yeah.
therapy would be huge in VR. If you have somebody who has social anxiety or something and they don't want to go to the therapist, or
Mhm.
just you have kids and you can't leave the house.
Right.
So I think
Well, there's
I'm
also
gonna put
talk
on my
about VR.
virtual headset, ignore my kids, so I can go to my doctor's session. Kids, you're on your own. Make sure
Yeah.
you're in front of a video game.
Well, there's
What?
also talk about actual studies done that people are able to take less, they're not having to take as much medicine because of using virtual reality, where they're going to a peaceful place in virtual reality, or they're experiencing some sort of therapeutic thing, and they don't need as much anxiety med, or they don't need as much antidepressant medication.
Oh, yeah.
Especially like Jesse and I, we live in Minnesota, and like half of the year it is just freezing cold and super dark. And so I could see like using a virtuality to like just freaking go to the beach for a half an hour, and that like changing your mood, you know?
Yeah.
So the other thing would be the military. I know that Jesse, you posted something recently about a huge deal that was made. Was that with Microsoft and HoloLens, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So what's that all about?
I don't remember the details, but Microsoft always seems to get military contracts.
Yeah.
I'm sure like that VR treadmill you showed, I was thinking that the military would be a great application for that. I'm sure they have treadmills.
Sure.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Training. We went back to the education and experience.
Yeah.
They don't need to shoot real people now. They can just.
Jeez. Yeah.
Well,
speaking of Microsoft, then the last question before we go. So they've made the HoloLens or HoloLens, whatever it says. Do you think that within the Xbox Series, which is the newest Xbox that came out, will there be a virtual reality headset that will come out? That's the big talk. That's the big talk is a VR headset going to come out for the Xbox? Because Phil Spencer has just straight up been like, that is not our focus. That's not where we're going. If my brother on here, he would tooth and nail fight me against it. I absolutely think that either they are going to make one or they're going to partner with another company.
why
that
can't
does virtual
Microsoft
reality.
just do the Halo lens that they already have and integrate it into the technology?
Well, it's $2,000. So
Yeah.
Okay,
It's not consumer
consumer ready.
Yeah.
So
Why do you think that it's going to happen, Jesse?
there was a leak. Like, I think it's French Xboxes.
Yep.
They if you plug in some USB thing or whatever, they'll show the VR thing with instructions.
Yeah.
Like they already have the software on there,
And they claim that was a translation error
with an image on our headset.
Yeah, like it, because it says like your virtual reality headset is not connected, right?
Yeah.
And then their excuse was, oh, that was a translation error with the French blah 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 or something like that.
Right.
So I really want Daniel to eat his words when a VR headset comes out for Microsoft.
Should we get another bet going on the man cave between you and your brother?
Yeah, let's do it.
So we gotta put Dan in here. Bet one next time. But we have a bet going on if the Star Wars universe will ever get rebooted between Dan, Christian, and Joe.
Yeah.
So that's the one bet we're going on. And then the one bet we would have to configure would be, Andrew, you think virtual reality immersion gaming is going to be a thing?
No.
Xbox is going to come.
The bet is that Xbox is going to make a VR headset, or they're going to partner with a company
that
will make a headset for them.
Okay.
Well, hey, HP made one for Microsoft.
A whole bunch of companies did.
Yeah, but I'm talking for the Xbox.
Yeah.
Like
how long in a certain time frame are we going to give it a turn?
Within the lifespan of the Series XS.
So we'll have to get Dan on next time Dan's on, and we're just having some fun conversations. We'll see if he'll want to take part in that bet. So
what would
I have no skin in the game?
What would the bet be though? I mean,
well, he's betting on
Daniel buys me an Xbox Series X because I'm okay with that.
I would say he would have to buy you if it comes out. He would have to buy you the headset.
But I don't have a Series X, so the headset's not going to matter.
You own so much stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. I do.
But I don't know. That's something we can talk on a later podcast. But I just think that would be fun to have on the background. So
absolutely. Is there any other final remarks, Jesse? Have we missed any news that
Microsoft looks like they have a VR headset for the Xbox, and Apple has been buying a bunch of AR companies.
Yeah, there's a big talk about them making a headset.
Yep, an AR one. If they do, like everything Apple does usually is popular. They don't have a lot of bad projects.
And the one thing that my brother will say was the last time that Apple tried to make a video game system, how well did that go for them with the Apple Pippin? And I'm like, dude, that you can't even.
The Apple TV, I connect my video games on it, and I have a pretty fun experience playing. I can play anything from the Apple Arcade on there.
I would argue iPad is a pretty popular video game system.
Yeah, and so they're doing okay now. Sometimes it takes a while for them to find the right stride, but I mean, their first version of their iPhone was horrible, and it crashed and burned. So they eventually get it. So,
but it still changed the world.
Oh yeah, yeah. So, Jesse, is there anything? Thanks for being a guest today. Is there anything you want to plug or talk about, your Facebook groups or anything like that?
No.
No problem.
Andrew, I just want to say next week, if everyone wants to join in on us, we'll be talking about we'll be recapping the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It will be a spoiler centric episode. So
episode 5, or are we covering 5 and 6?
5, we're covering 6 gets released next Friday because we just registered 5. 6 is coming out Friday.
We're covering the whole thing.
We're covering the whole thing and the future of the MCU after that point. So we did it for WandaVision. We're doing it for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So if you're joining in, make sure you're caught up or you're going to be spoiled. Like that milk I have over there. Anyway,
well, thank
Andrew,
you
want to sign us off? So
yeah, appreciate it. Next week, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Going to cover that. Cool. Jesse, thank you for being our special guest. And we thank you for being here. We'll see you guys next week.